Hi, I'm Superintendent Bill Bierman here at USD 352 in Goodland, Kansas. Just wanted to take an opportunity a little bit to talk to you about our facility project we have been going on and the discussions we've been having at board meetings as far as what we plan to do when we get to next year and moving our high school students. Don't have my tech team here today to help me out. I'm just going to try to do this from my office, so hopefully this works out pretty well. But with that being said, I'll go ahead and get started. Last winter and spring we did a lot of community meetings about the bond issue and what the facility project was all about. And oftentimes in those conversations when someone would ask, well, what are we doing with the high school students? We'd say, well, our plan right now is to move those students to North Elementary when we begin the 2014-15 school year. Mainly along the lines at that time and all the information we had, that seemed logical and made sense to us. When the bond passed, you really start in April, you really start to dive in, and now and the board has to really start planning it because it's actually going to happen. And our whole focus for several months was on West and North because those two projects were going to happen first, and making sure we had thought that out well, and the design of those and the programming of spaces, etc. Well, then this fall, as those two projects have started to continue on, we've had to really start looking at the high school. And in so doing, you really start to analyze things a little bit differently. And so that led to probably this conversation of what we've been talking about the last month. So, no matter what we were going to do, we always knew we had to get the high school students out of the high school. The renovation and extensive work that's going to go on there doesn't allow us in any opportunity to do one part and keep another part open, etc. We were going to literally have to just get out of the building for a year so that we could get in there and do the things we needed to. So no matter what next year happens, that's going to be the case. We also knew that even when we were talking about moving to North, we were going to still have this issue of some of our classes being somewhere else. Examples would be art, our woods class, hopefully our FOAG department next year would still be at the tech building at the high school, and weightlifting and PE would still be needing to be taught at Max. So no matter what we were going to do, if our students were at North, we were going to have to deal with this issue of busing students back and forth and being flexible with that. Deeper analysis led us to really look at and consider a couple of programs and how we were going to teach those classes. Probably number one was science. Yes, I can fit all my staff, the high school, into North Elementary, but I'm putting them in a 3-6 building that was designed for 3rd through 6th graders, and asking my science teacher somehow in those classrooms to continue to offer the same curriculum that we have now. So how are we going to do science labs? That became a huge issue for us. Our facts class, where we teach the traditional, what many of us refer to as home ec classes, the cooking, the sewing, those classes. How are we going to do that in really a design of a classroom that's just a elementary classroom? And then music, our music room at North, the more we analyze that, worked really well for a 20 to 30 third graders, fourth graders, but to do some of what we needed to do at the high school, maybe that space wasn't large enough. So just some of those things led us to really start to think, how are we going to do that? And it kind of led us to consider this move to Central Elementary instead of maybe North. So